What's going on? Welcome back to Trending Stocks. Today I want to talk to you about Faraday Future. I want to go over some of the current data points, what shorts are doing, as well as some expectations for this upcoming week. So I'm going to go over everything that you need to know, but first make sure to hit that thumbs up. And with that, let's get right to it. Starting off, Faraday did go down 2.52% on Friday. 112 million shares were traded. 280 is the average. So a little bit low, but then again, that's kind of normal for a Friday. One thing that I've been really watching very closely with Faraday is institutions getting in, and big money is still paying attention to Faraday, not to the same extent they were roughly about a week and a half ago, but then again, that's kind of normal because Faraday hasn't really put out any pieces of news of substance. So right now, the next big thing for Faraday that might really incentivize larger institutions to get back in is this right here. So that is their Q4 and also 2023 annual earnings, and that is slated for Tuesday, May the 28th at 5 p.m. Pacific. I'm going to be live streaming that, so make sure you guys subscribe and all that fun jazz. I'll start the earnings probably around 15 minutes prior, just go over some of the tentative things that you need to know, and then we'll just listen to exactly what they do say. So once again, that will be probably the next big thing for Faraday, and as well, that should actually fix the deficiency with the Nasdaq about their earnings, and possibly in around a week and a half that $1 bid price rule might be rectified, because typically the Nasdaq does require any company to trade between around 10 to 20 consecutive trading days for them to kind of rectify that $1 bid price rule. So in Faraday's case, probably would be that 20-day, more so due to the risks and whatever else. But still, Faraday has been holding that $1 amount fairly well. It did kind of dip below that temporarily right here, but it was able to close exactly at $1.12. So in reality, if Faraday is able to continue this trend and stay above $1, then they surprisingly, out of left field, might be fixing every aspect with the Nasdaq. So I was not anticipating this, especially leading right here. I was anticipating that they were going to get knocked down to OTC and everything else, because there's been no operational updates. Technically, there still hasn't been. Hopefully that'll change as of their earnings. And all of this had to do with more of a squeeze aspect. Just shorts got too greedy with Faraday. So it's still technically a good squeeze play, but you never know. They might actually be rectifying all deficiencies with a Nasdaq. So let me know your thoughts on that in the comments below. When it comes down to shorts, so 52.73% of the free float is being shorted. That works out to be 20.09 million shares overall are being shorted. So it did go down from its peak, which was roughly estimated to be 128% based on Ortex. But still, 53% is rather high. Shorts did return 2.74 million shares on Friday. Cost to borrow average is 14.45%. Still on the threshold list, and it's been on the threshold list since it looks like May the 9th. And so in theory, any company trading on the threshold list for 13 consecutive trading days, the SEC is supposed to interject and do something. Whether they do or not, most likely not, because I don't think they typically do anything with in certain circumstances when AMC has been on the threshold list for like 40 days and whatever. So don't really hold your breath for the SEC, but still, beside the point though, still kind of shows that shorts are integrated within Faraday. So if earnings are positive, then you could see a nice bump up in the stock price. My last video, I did say based on the options, it was pointing to a kind of a nice rebound, a secondary run. And in fact, the following day, it did do that, because they did go up roughly around 30%, give or take. So looking at the options, you don't see that much dollar value unless you're looking at, for instance, the June 21st, that monthly expiry, where you do see, for instance, at the $2 strike price, 29,000, at the $1.50, 13,000 in open interest, $1, 23,000. So if it is able to close above any of these kind of points right here, any of these strike prices, this is where you could see a fairly good gamma squeeze. But it looks like it's going to be relatively quiet for the next couple of weeks. So something to kind of consider. So hopefully their earnings is positive, and that way it'll maybe drum up a little bit more activity on the options front. So let me know your thoughts on that in the comments below. But when it comes to their earnings, like I said, I'll give you a quick Cole's notes and summary of some expectations for the earnings that is coming out on Tuesday. But Right now, there's actually no analyst paying attention to Faraday. So there's been no estimates for earnings per share nor revenue. So in reality, something to kind of just be aware of. Their last earnings that they did submit, which was announced on November the 13th, 2023, they did have 551,000 in revenue. A surprise, a little bit more of a miss. I think 1.1 or 1.2 million was anticipated. But since then, analysts aren't really paying attention to it. And for earnings per share, it looks like they did beat, surprisingly. But still, one thing to really watch for with this upcoming earnings is dilution. Because technically, the market is going to probably forgive their earnings per share and revenue and just focus on how much cash that they physically do have, as well as how much they've been diluting since basically September, because I think their last disclosure was September 30th. So how much have they diluted between September and December? And then that kind of begs the question, how much have they done in the following 5 months? But still, that is going to be one very big thing that will affect Faraday. And potentially could be very positive, that would prompt a squeeze, or could be negative, that causes it to trend down. So something to consider. It's going to be a very volatile week nonetheless, so anticipate a lot of extreme moves in either direction. But clearly, like I already pointed out, big money is kind of just waiting patiently on the sidelines. And if positive, you are going to see a very big squeeze getting in. And that obviously would in turn really pump up the options activity as well. So definitely it's going to be a very interesting week. As far as my own personal expectations from the company for their earnings, it is very low, very low. But then again, sometimes that's a positive, because if you have very low expectations, like anything will come off as somewhat positive. So as long as they haven't excessively diluted to Kingdom Come, and they have somewhat good amount of cash, which I don't really anticipate them having, then you know what, things could go very well. One point as well that they're going to be talking on is Palantir. I know this isn't a Palantir video, but technically Palantir has been going after Faraday, and the judge ruled in favor of Palantir. So I believe, if I remember correctly, Faraday has to pay Palantir, I can't remember exactly how much off the top of my head. I think it was like 21 million or something, 9 million, something like that. No matter what though, Faraday, like, you have to factor that into the cash as well. So very interesting time period. Let me know your thoughts. Are you bullish on Faraday? Are you bearish? Are you buying? Are you shorting? What are you doing with Faraday? Don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I always greatly appreciate that. One final thing, make sure you guys definitely take advantage of this promo. Simply sign up for a new account, throw $100 at it, and they give you 7 fractional shares of the 𝗪𝗧. So a pretty kick-ass deal. Link in the description below and also the comments. With all that said, appreciate all of you watching.